Welcome back to the Crime Bowl podcast with Bill and Jill, where it's true crime, no bull. I miss you guys. We are officially at our once-a-week upload, every Sunday a new episode. I'm thinking about dropping 2 shows a week. What do you guys think? What other day besides Sunday should we drop? Leave it in the comments. Anyway, let's get started and solve some crime. Okay, so picture this. You're on a cruise. The sun is shining. You're in Cozumel, Mexico. Life is good, right? That's exactly what the Solomon family thought until their vacation took a dark turn. We're diving into the disappearance of Edmund Brad Solomon III, a 66-year-old retired nurse from Charleston, South Carolina.
What makes this case so compelling, and frankly terrifying, is how quickly things went wrong. The family decided to explore the shops and soak in the Cozumel atmosphere. Brad needed a restroom break, a perfectly normal thing, but that was the last time his family saw him.
Well, hold on. He just vanished from a public restroom in broad daylight.
Exactly. His wife, Mimi, assumed they'd meet up after. But when Brad didn't come out, she went to check on him. Gone. Vanished. And this wasn't a secluded area. It was a bustling tourist spot. It's a nightmare scenario, really.
Okay, but wouldn't someone have seen something? Was there any security footage?
That's the thing. It seems like Brad just stepped out of the frame. The port area in Cozumel, while vibrant, can be chaotic. Lots of people coming and going, street vendors, distractions everywhere. It's possible someone saw something but hasn't come forward yet.
So where do we go from here? How do you even begin to investigate something like this?
Well, there's another piece of this puzzle that makes things even more complicated. You see, Brad had recently been diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia, or FTD for short.
Okay, I've heard of dementia, but what exactly is FTD? And how could it play a role in a disappearance?
FTD is a particularly cruel brain disease. It affects the parts of your brain responsible for personality, behavior, and decision-making. Imagine being a Brad in a new place. Your brain isn't working as it should. You might feel scared, confused. Simple decisions become impossible. Offering your watch for a ride might seem logical in that moment.
So you're saying his dementia could have made him act unpredictably?
Exactly. And that's where the taxi driver story comes in. Later that day, a taxi driver reported seeing a man matching Brad's description. The man seemed disoriented, offered his wristwatch for a ride, and asked to be taken to La Passion Beach.
La Passion Beach. Isn't that quite a ways from the shopping district? I remember reading something about that beach.
Yes, and it's known for its strong currents, which makes this whole situation even more unnerving. If Brad was disoriented and wandered towards the water, well, it's a chilling thought.
This is starting to feel like a tangled web. We have a disappearance in broad daylight, a potential dementia-fueled taxi ride, and a beach known for its dangers. What did the authorities do with all this information?
The initial response was swift. Air, sea, and land searches were launched. Volunteers jumped in to help. Flyers were everywhere. But here's the issue. Searching in a foreign country adds another layer of complexity. Language barriers, different legal procedures, and just navigating an unfamiliar system, it all adds up.
So even with everyone's best efforts, the search was hampered by these logistical roadblocks.
It certainly made things more challenging. Remember, time is crucial in a missing persons case, especially when dementia is involved. And despite all these efforts, the searches at La Passion Beach turned up empty.
Yeah.
It was just a frantic scramble against the clock. And you can imagine the family's anguish, clinging to this taxi driver's story, hoping it leads them to Brad, only to face another dead end.
It's heartbreaking. So what happens next? Is it even possible to make headway in a case like this with so many unknowns?
It becomes a matter of piecing together fragments of information. And that includes understanding how FTD might have influenced Brad's actions. We know people with this condition can experience confusion, disorientation, memory loss. They might wander, get lost easily, have trouble communicating their needs.
So it's not just about finding Brad, but understanding how his condition might have led him to a certain place, or made him react in a certain way.
Exactly. It adds a psychological layer to the investigation. For example, the offer of his wristwatch. A seemingly odd gesture might have made perfect sense to Brad in his confused state.
It's a chilling reminder that dementia doesn't just affect memory. It impacts judgment and reasoning as well.
Precisely. And that's why it's so crucial for families traveling with someone who has dementia to be extra prepared. ID bracelets, recent photos, a detailed itinerary shared with loved ones back home. Even considering GPS tracking, these precautions can make a world of difference.
Those are all really good points, and I hope our listeners are taking note. It's easy to overlook these things when you're planning a vacation, but being prepared is essential. especially in a situation like this.
Absolutely. And while the Solomon family navigated this unimaginable ordeal, they were also dealing with the legal and diplomatic complexities of a missing person in a foreign country.
Right, because it's not just about the local police in Cozumel. There's an international element to this as well.
Exactly. When an American citizen goes missing abroad, the U.S. Embassy gets involved. They work with Mexican law enforcement, the State Department, and the family to coordinate the investigation, ensure proper procedures are followed, and provide support.
So there's a whole network working behind the scenes that most people aren't even aware of.
It's a complex system, and it can be frustratingly slow at times, especially for a family desperate for answers. But it's there to safeguard the rights of U.S. citizens abroad and navigate the intricacies of international law.
And in this case, did the embassy's involvement lead to any breakthroughs?
It helped facilitate communication between the U.S. and Mexican authorities, ensuring the investigation was thorough and that all available resources were utilized. But unfortunately, it didn't lead to Brad's whereabouts.
So despite all these efforts, the search hit a wall. What happens when a case goes cold like this? Does the investigation just stop?
Not necessarily. While active search efforts might be scaled back, the case remains open. Investigators continue to follow up on leads, analyze evidence, and re-examine witness statements, hoping for that one crucial piece of information that could break the case open.
So there's still hope, even though it's been months since Brad disappeared.
Hope is all the family has left. And they haven't given up. They've been incredibly proactive, maintaining a social media presence, sharing Brad's story, raising awareness about FTD, and urging anyone with even the smallest piece of information to come forward.
It's inspiring to see their resilience and determination in the face of such a tragedy. But it also makes you wonder, what can we learn from Brad's story? What are the key takeaways for our listeners?
I think one of the most important takeaways is the critical need for awareness and preparedness when traveling with someone who has dementia. It's crucial to have a plan in place, including identification, medical information, and communication strategies.
Right, because in a moment of crisis, you might not be able to think clearly or access that information easily.
Exactly. Having a designated point of contact back home, sharing your itinerary with family and friends, and considering GPS tracking devices are all valuable steps to take.
It's all about mitigating risks and increasing the chances of a safe return if something unexpected happens.
Precisely. And I think Brad's case also highlights the importance of early diagnosis and intervention when it comes to dementia. The earlier you catch it, the better equipped you are to manage the symptoms and plan for the future. Early intervention can make a significant difference in the progression of the disease and the quality of life for both the individual and their family. It's about empowering yourself with knowledge and seeking support early on.
And I think another takeaway from this case is the incredible power of community and the unwavering hope that families cling to. It's a testament to the human spirit that even in the darkest of times, there's always that glimmer of hope that keeps us going. That hope can be fueled by the support of friends, family, and even strangers who come together to help in times of need.
It's a reminder that we're not alone in this journey, and that even small acts of kindness can make a world of difference.
Yeah, it really makes you think. Brad's story is a powerful reminder that even a simple vacation can turn into a nightmare.
It really is. And it underscores the importance of recognizing that dementia isn't just a memory issue. It's a multifaceted condition. It can affect behavior, judgment, and even a person's ability to stay safe in unfamiliar environments.
Absolutely. So for our listeners who might be thinking, what can I do? What are some ways they can help families like Brad's or support the cause of dementia awareness?
There are so many avenues for making a difference. Volunteering at organizations that support individuals with dementia and their families is a great start. These organizations often rely on volunteers for everything from companionship to fundraising.
Yeah. And I know many of them offer training programs for volunteers, so you can feel confident in providing support.
Exactly. Another way to contribute is by participating in fundraising events for dementia research. The more resources we dedicate to finding a cure for these devastating diseases, the better.
Right. And even just having open conversations about dementia can help break down the stigma surrounding it. It's about educating ourselves and others so we can create a more supportive and inclusive society.
I couldn't agree more. Sharing resources, challenging misconceptions, and simply being there to listen can make a world of difference for someone struggling with dementia or caring for a loved one with the condition.
This whole situation also makes you think about how we can make travel and tourist destinations more dementia-friendly. Is that
Yeah.
something that's being addressed?
Thankfully, yes. There's a growing movement to create more dementia-friendly communities and travel options. This includes things like clear signage, train staff in hotels and tourist destinations, and even sensory gardens or quiet spaces where people can decompress if they feel overwhelmed.
Oh, that's great. It's about making sure everyone, regardless of their cognitive abilities, can enjoy the experience of travel and exploration.
Precisely. And as we continue to learn more about dementia and its impact, we can work towards creating a world where people with these conditions feel supported, valued, and empowered to live full lives.
Well said. Brad Solomon's story is a powerful reminder of the challenges faced by those living with dementia and their families. But it's also a story of resilience, hope, and the unwavering love that binds us together even in the face of adversity.
And while his disappearance remains a mystery, his legacy lives on through his family's tireless efforts to raise awareness and advocate for those affected by dementia.
We can only hope that one day his case will be solved and his family will finally have the answers they deserve.
We can only hope.
Thank you all for joining us on this deep dive into Brad Solomon's case. We'll be back next week with another episode. But for now, stay safe and be kind to one another.
And remember,
True crime.